And if you keep looking, sometimes you get the longer versions, but if you keep looking, you got somebody that just say, do this in 60 seconds. I'm like, that's what I want right there. Hello, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Ask Tricia Advice Vlog and Podcast. I'm Patriciatone, and tonight I have a great guest for you. She's an actress and stand-up comedian, and she is from Chicago. Her name is Staci Lynn Fletcher. I've been rocking with Staci for a very long time. You can see her on The Neighborhood, How to Get Away with Murder, and Insecure. And that's just a few things on the list. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my friend Staci. Hi, Staci. How are you?
Hey, Tricia, I'm good. No complaints. You know, life is good.
You look absolutely beautiful and refreshed. You doing all right in this pandemic?
Girl, yes. Thank God. It's a lot going on, but you know, I'm doing okay.
That's good. So yeah, with the pandemic going on and you not being able to go out, now that it's opening back up, how do you feel about, going to the sets and being tested and doing all that good stuff? Do you think it's gonna really be a problem, or do you think people really will adhere to the COVID regulations now?
Well, I can tell you from firsthand experience, because I have been back on set since then. It's going okay. I mean, it's a lot of adjustment. On sets pre-COVID, it's a lot of hugging and everyone standing around, and it's a very touchy-feely place. So that is a huge adjustment. The way it's organized now is everyone, of course, wears mask. We're put into zones now, so everyone doesn't have access to everyone anymore. Like the writers are all working remotely. So before, when you would have a producer's run through or writer's run through, they would all be down on the stage and they would watch the run through, and it's kind of performed like a play. For those who are not familiar, run through is when you do a multicam sitcom. The run through is running the show all the way through from top to bottom. It is like a play. The writers and the producers and network takes notes and what works and what doesn't work. But now that's not, we're still having run throughs, but there's a camera set up and just about everyone is watching it via Zoom. There is limited. The actors only can be in contact with people they need to be in contact with, their makeup people, their hair people, their wardrobe people, but not somebody, else. Productions, can't come on set. It's taking a lot of getting used to, but it's working and we working. So we gonna do what we got to do to keep getting them checks, girl.
That part, it's like, no more bringing people down to the set. Oh, this is my cousin from Alabama. No.
And craft service has changed. I think that is like, oh my God, what? I cannot graze this table. What is happening?
You can't stand there and just pick a grape at a time.
They hand you a container with your food in it. You're like, well, I didn't want the potatoes. It's like, eat the potatoes. If you want the chicken, you got to get the potatoes. So that's changed.
Like when you're in the school cafeteria, here your box. Your name is on your box. Take your name and go sit down somewhere.
But the upside is you get embarrassed going back there like, can I have about the chips? How about the pack of cookies? And there, you don't want people to know how much you were grazing. So that's the plus side of it.
That is, it's good comedy, that's for sure. When comedians are able to hit that stage, they're gonna have a hell of a lot to talk about. That is for sure. Mm-hmm. So as for, doing the stand-up comedy, a lot of those shows have been virtual comedy shows. Have you checked out any of those virtual comedy shows?
I watched a few early on when they were just getting started. and it was interesting. Uh,
Mhm.
I haven't performed it any, and I have to be honest, I have not watched any recently where I know they've really perfected it
Oh, okay.
as much as they can. A lot of the clubs are doing it now, but at first it was just the comics going, look, I got to perform, and
Yeah.
doing it themselves. We still have that, but now you have actual comedy clubs getting in on it, doing the
Yeah.
Zoom show. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's a little hard because like I was listening at Arsenio Hall do an interview on the Steve Harvey show, and he was talking about getting back out and how he was trying to convince Eddie Murphy to go back out, and all of them are working on new material. And there were also other, comics and different videos that I've seen, and they're all talking about how it's hard to practice to do your sets for a new show because you don't have an audience, and one comedian said he went and everybody was kind of spaced out, and I'm
right.
like, that is also scary in itself, because that's just like when you go to a comedy show and you have to perform and you notice that there's nobody in the audience, and that just brings your morale down. But
Or
I,
everybody
I
sitting in the back in the shadow where you
yeah,
can't see them. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Apparently, though, they're gonna have to get used to it. But I think the upside of it is they're gonna really have to come up with some funny stuff, because you're gonna have to really make people laugh now, since it's not gonna be the same setup.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna ask you, what is the best advice that you've ever given someone?
I think I actually took a poll because I
Uh-huh.
knew that this was one of the questions. The best advice that I've given, and I give it to my daughter and to people who I think need it,
Mhm.
is that we teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
You know, we
Yeah.
we don't even know that we're teaching them how to treat us. If you open your mouth and you're speaking bad about yourself and you calling yourself dumb and, oh, I was so stupid to do that, and you know
Yeah.
if you're treating yourself like less than, then you have given other people permission to treat you as less
Yeah.
than.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the best advice. Like I said, I've shared that with my daughter. I tell her, I encourage her
Yeah.
to set boundaries early on in friendships and in
Mhm.
relationships, because you know how it is. You're excited, you got a new friend or you got a new boo, and you just want to be all wrapped up. But then suddenly, I mean, not suddenly, eventually that dies down and you kind of want your personal space. But
Yeah.
people can take affront to that, if offense to that, because suddenly you're not all over me anymore. But if you set that boundary in the beginning, you don't have to worry about that. There are no questions asked. I need my alone time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Has nothing to
Yeah.
do with you, but I need my alone time. I need time to recharge. You know.
Yeah. And that also goes with, as well as how people talk to you. You
Absolutely.
have to train people how to speak to you. I usually am very quiet when I meet people, because I just like to see how they move, how they operate before I approach them. And there have been times, though, just because they know I did stand-up comedy, or like to laugh and things like that, they'll talk to me in that ghetto fabulous type
Uh, they want
attitude.
they want to be down. Want you to know they're down.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's not me, that. And it's not really that ghetto fabulous. It's, some of these people nowadays, everybody's a bitch. What's up, bitch? No, I
You
don't.
you a little too damn familiar. You don't know me.
I don't roll like that. I don't care if you do know me. That is
Yeah,
never my name.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know when the society decided to accept that, but I've never been that person. And so I take offense to that, especially when it's people that don't know me, I don't know. You're right. You have to train people how to talk to you, how to deal with you. And sometimes that could be a very, very confusing thing for some people because they think you're one way and then they get around you and you're not that way. A lot of people tell me that they would say, "Oh, you're so much different than I thought you were," and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, well, I'm sorry. I hope that's a good thing. That's a really good lesson, especially for kids, because now with this social media, everybody is in this attack mode or, they're out to bash and criticize people.
Yeah.
And so if you train them to not come at you that way, because even I was talking with someone else, even on social media, you have these people, they allow everybody. Now you can't control them all, but they come on their page just to fight, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And I started early on when I would see that negative combative
Mhm.
response, I would just delete it because
Right.
I want
Not
people to
interested
know
in it.
you can come to my page, but you're not coming to fight. If you have
Right.
a difference of opinion, that's perfectly fine. But you're
Uh-huh.
not coming with your opinion like you finna cuss me out and everybody else out that think
Right.
differently than you. So yeah, I have to train people how to, be in my space, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's a good lesson for young people, but and I should say not but and there are millions of adults who do not know how to set boundaries and
Yeah.
or standards and let people treat them any kind of way simply because perhaps they don't know that they can. You know what I mean?
That's
You know,
yeah, yeah.
like you're saying, people calling you B. If you don't respond to that, eventually somebody's going to say Patricia because they want your attention. You know what I mean? What's
Exactly.
that quote?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you call me. It only matters what I respond to.
That
You
one.
know?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
friendships, relationships, business partnerships, anything. And
Mhm.
you don't do it in a nasty way and I'm all this type of way. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of having self-love and self-respect and you treat people that same way,
Yeah.
and hopefully it's reciprocated. If it's not, then you get to stepping.
Okay, well, I'm gonna flip the script and
Okay.
ask you what's the best advice you've ever received from someone?
My best advice, hands down, came from my father. He always told us to be paid to learn. When we got our first jobs, he was like, listen, I'm happy you got a job, running the cash register at McDonald's. But while you there, pay attention to what's going on, what other people
Yeah.
are doing, what their jobs are, and you are there in thinking of it as being in school, getting an education, and you're being paid to learn. Wherever we
Yeah.
go, you be paid to learn. And so every job that I've ever had, I've been observant, asked questions, know what other people's jobs are and responsibilities are. It's
Yeah.
a simple thing. And even when you're not getting paid, when you're somewhere, just always stay and just learn. Just be open to learning. Just pay attention to what's around you, what people are doing, why they're doing it, what results they're getting from doing things that way. And if you want
Mhm.
the same results, maybe try it. You know?
Yeah, that's very true. And that's probably why we get along because I love learning too. I'm always on YouTube learning something new. That's what I love about YouTube the most is you can learn anything
Somebody
in
that
the
made a video
world.
about it. Whatever your interest is.
I'm telling you, I love those people who do that. I just wanted to be known. I love all y'all because even when I'm job hunting, right? And these people will put in these softwares, and I'm like, I ain't never heard of it. Where the hell they get these softwares from? And I go straight to YouTube and look at the software, and I'm like, oh, that's just a knockoff of Google, or that's just a knockoff of Outlook. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God for YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Girl, listen, I sat here one day and stopped up my garbage disposal. And it was my fault, and I knew it was my fault. And I didn't want to call my landlord to fix it. So I got on YouTube about how do you unclog a garbage disposal. I couldn't believe how many things came up. But there was this woman on there. This woman was like, "You don't need a man. We can do this." I was like, "Girl, come on, let's do this." And me in that YouTube video undid a darn garbage disposal. I took that thing apart. You couldn't tell me nothing. Nothing.
I did the same thing when it came to my toilet. The thing kept running, making noise. Yeah. And I went on YouTube and they was like, "Oh, all you gotta do is tighten this, do this, and screw this with it." I was like, "Oh, see, it's my flashlight."
That's right. Somebody that made a video about it. Yep.
And if you keep looking, you sometimes you get the longer versions, but if you keep looking, you got somebody that just say, "Do this in 60 seconds." I'm like, that's what I want right there. I don't need
what I want. Yeah.
I have a niece and she just entered college, and every time she'll call and ask me something, I'm like, Google it. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
She gets so sick of me. She just said, "Can you just answer me just one time?" I said, "I am training you
to research." Well, you know what? You are training her because, listen, my daughter would ask me stuff before she would even think. It'll be dumb stuff like, the answer to that. But yes, you're training her to think and to search out answers on her own.
And then I'll feel bad. I'll wait a little while though. I have to say I'll feel bad. I'll wait a little while and I'll call her back. I was like, "Did you find the answer?" "Okay." "I got it. I got it." I say, "Okay, I just want to check. I just want to let you know I'm on your side."
Right.
Well, that is great, great, great advice. Yeah. Well, I thank you for taking time out of your day to come and talk to us on Ask Aunt Tricia. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's fun. This was fun. Thanks for asking me to come on.
I appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you once everything start opening more and more back up, and we'll be looking for you on TV and everything, and hopefully on the stage again soon. So again, thank you, Staci, for coming out to the show or sitting down with us at the show. Look at me. I'm ready to be outside coming out to the show. I don't even know where I'm at, girl. But thank you, my friend, and I'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, I'd like to thank Staci Lynn Fletcher for being my guest today on the show. We have to look forward to seeing her pretty face on TV real soon, once quarantine is lifted a little bit more. But I thank you all for listening, and I ask that you like, share, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. And thank you again for listening and watching Ask Aunt Tricia. I'll see you next time.